Coming up today, President Park Geun-hye calls for unity on the government's decision to deploy the THAAD missile defense system to South Korea. Korea's ruling party will elect its new leadership this afternoon at its party convention. 4 candidates are in the running for the top post. Plus, it's day 3 of the Rio Olympics. Team Korea's female archers, fresh from their victory in the team event, are looking for gold in the individual competition. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello to our viewers around the world. It's 6 a.m. on Tuesday, August 9th here in Seoul. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. Our top story this morning, President Park Geun-hye has renewed her call for full political support on national security and the economy. She also urged lawmakers from all parties to support the government's stance and diplomatic efforts on the upcoming deployment of the US THAAD missile defense system to South Korean soil. Song Ji-sun starts us off.
President Park expressed concern about the visit to China by opposition party lawmakers, which she said could be used to strengthen Beijing's opposition against the deployment of the THAAD missile defense system, and asked the main opposition Minju Party to trust the government and unite for the national interest. She reiterated the need to deploy THAAD against North Korea's continual nuclear and missile threats, and sought cooperation from the political sphere in guarding the nation and the people's security.
국민의 생명을 지키기 위한 대비를 하는 것은 국가라면 당연히 해야 하고 하지 않을 수 없는 자위권적 조치인 것입니다. 이렇게 국민의 생명이 달려있는 안보 문제에 있어서는 여야가 따로 있을 수 없고 가치관과 정치적 견해에 따라 다를 수 없습니다.
On the economic front, President Park stressed the need for long-term planning and improving competency to mitigate times of low growth and oversupply.
아울러 이미 부실화된 기업에 대한 구조조정도 단순한 부실을 정리하는 차원에 머물러서는 안 되고 산업 경쟁력 강화를 통한 미래 성장 동력 창출에 초점을 맞춰야 합니다.
Saying that the fast advancing era requires continuous restructuring and innovation efforts, President Park asked businesses to not just focus on reforms, but to also find new growth engines for the future, for example, in sectors like telemedicine. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
South Korea's ambassador to China met with China's special representative for the Korean Peninsula on Monday to clarify Seoul's position on the deployment of the THAAD system on its soil. Seoul-based Yonhap news agency said Ambassador Kim Jang-soo and Woo Da-wei also exchanged views on other issues surrounding the Korean Peninsula, including Pyongyang's recent missile provocations. Now, this marks the first time the South Korean government has delivered its position to China through an official diplomatic channel. It's being seen as an active approach by the South Korean government to deal with China's intensifying criticism of the deployment. Beijing says the deployment will undermine regional stability and China's security interests. Japan's defense ministry has issued an open-ended intercept order for North Korean missiles to its military. According to Tokyo-based Kyodo news agency on Monday, for the next 3 months, the nation's self-defense forces have been ordered to shoot down any ballistic missiles heading towards Japanese territory. Kyodo adds the interceptor missile systems will be set to full defense readiness using Aegis with Standard Missile 3 and PAC-3 Patriot missiles. The intercept order comes after a North Korean missile landed within Japan's exclusive economic zone for the first time ever last week. South Korea and Japan are set to hold talks on Tokyo's pledge to compensate the Korean victims of Japan's wartime sexual slavery. Seoul's foreign ministry says the ministry's Director General for Northeast Asian Affairs and his Japanese counterpart will meet in Seoul on Tuesday to discuss follow-up measures to the landmark Comfort Women deal reached late last year. This is the first such meeting after the Reconciliation and Healing Foundation for the victims was launched in Seoul last month. Japan says it will deliver the roughly $9.8 million in compensation through the foundation. Korea's ruling Saenuri Party is gearing up to elect a new leadership at its convention on Tuesday afternoon. The party is looking for a fresh start after a crushing defeat in April's general election. Our political correspondent Park Ji-won has a preview of the big event.
Korea's ruling Saenuri Party's 4th National Convention will kick off at 2 p.m. on Tuesday to select a new leader as well as 4 new members of its Supreme Council, the party's main decision-making body. And for the first time ever, this year's convention will also select an additional special Supreme Council member representing the younger generation, with only those under the age of 45 being eligible for the position. Currently, 4 candidates are vying for the top party leader post. While 3 of them, Lee Jang-hyun, Lee Ju-young, and Han Sung-kyo, are known to belong to the party's inner faction close to President Park Geun-hye, the other candidate, Ju Ho-young, comes from a faction that puts more distance from Park. All 4 candidates have vowed to reform the party, each saying he will eradicate the long-standing internal factional frictions that brought about the Conservative Party's loss in the April's general election.
We can totally change Korean politics if I'm elected as party leader.
We cannot elect as leaders those who were the main culprit of the general election's defeat.
Our party cannot bear any more manipulations from within the party.
Elect me as your leader to end the party's hegemony of those who are close to President Park.
Some 9,000 delegates will cast their votes at the Jamsil Indoor Stadium in southern Seoul. Nearly 70,000 other eligible voters already cast their ballots at the nation's 252 voting stations on Sunday, and they will be added to the convention's vote. Results are expected to come out as early as 7 p.m. on Tuesday. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
So let's take it to Rio then, where it's day 3 of the 2016 Olympics. We are going to start with women's archery now into its individual round. Fresh off her victory in the team event earlier this week, Korea's star archer Ki Bo-bae got off to a comfortable start in the tournament round, defeating her Kenyan opponent in the round of 64. She also followed that by another victory against a competitor from Ukraine in the round of 32. Ki is now set to compete at the round of 16 on Thursday morning local time. There are high expectations. The double 2012 Olympic champion could become the first archer, man or woman, to win 4 gold medals. To do that, Ki will need to win gold in this year's individual event. The other Korean female archers in the golden trio, Choi Mi-sun and Jang Hae-jin, also have their first matches in individual round coming up on Tuesday and Wednesday local time. On the men's side, Team Korea suffered a disappointing and unexpected loss in archery. World #1 Kim Woo-jin crashed out in the second round of the men's individual event. Kim lost to world number 29 Rio Olympics from Indonesia by 6 sets to 2. With a gold medal from the team event, the 24-year-old Korean fell at the second hurdle despite setting a world record score of 700 in the ranking round. And 2 of Korea's rising judo stars were eliminated in the round of 16 on Monday local time as well. World #1 An-chang Lim lost in the men's 73-kilogram class against Belgium's Dirk van Tikelt by half a point. Now, many predicted a gold medal for An, as he had never lost to Van Tiekelt in their previous matches, but the victory went to the Belgian. In the women's 57-kilogram category, another gold medal favourite, Kim Jan-di, lost to her Brazilian rival Rafaela Silva. Both An and Kim declined to comment on their performances. Now, of course, the focus of the sporting world is on Rio, with the 2016 Olympics in full swing now. But Korea has one eye on the next Olympics, to be hosted in the alpine town of PyeongChang. The organisers of the 2018 Games are busy promoting the event in the 2016 host city. Shin Se-min files this report from Rio.
Connecting the passion brought on by the Rio Olympics to the upcoming PyeongChang 2018 Winter Games. That's what Korea's Winter Games organizers, the Korean Tourism Organization, and the Tourism Ministry are hoping for at the moment while in Rio.
The distance and 12 hours time difference means nothing to us, because the Olympic Games are the very festival where people across the globe meet and build friendship regardless of distance between countries, location, religion, or race.
Time is of essence for the PyeongChang Organizing Committee, with less than 550 days to go until hosting the next Winter Games.
The PyeongChang 2018 house, located on Copacabana Beach, has brought a piece of the next Olympic host city to Rio. And thanks to Korea's cutting-edge technology, visitors can get a first look at the silver snow-covered city of the next Winter Olympics.
Offering an opportunity to try out winter sports like ski jumping through a four-dimensional virtual reality simulator, visitors can feel a step closer to the alpine city while being under the tropical sun of Rio. And Korea's wireless carrier KT unveiled the world's first ever fifth-generation network that connects two very different cities halfway across the globe simultaneously. Such efforts, according to the IOC Coordination Commissioner, are necessary to drum up support for the next Olympics.
It's a very professional exhibition here, and you said the new technique is fantastic. And here you have the whole world coming, and they know we have the Summer Games, but PyeongChang is the next one and to come up, and it's very good with this promotion.
While speeding up preparations for the Winter Games with a series of test events lined up this November, PyeongChang Olympic organizers in Rio are embodying the spirit of the Games, at least for now. Shin Se-min, Arirang News, Rio de Janeiro.
Now, some pretty fantastic news for Korea on the economic front, because global ratings agency Standard & Poor's has upgraded Korea's sovereign credit rating by a notch to a record high of AA. S&P says Korea has sound fiscal conditions and relatively stable growth momentum. Kim Min-ji has the details.
Standard & Poor's has raised Korea's credit rating to a record high of AA. The upward adjustment for the country is the second in less than a year after it revised its rating to a AA- in September last year. It puts the country on the third highest rating and places it on the same footing as France and the UK. Korea's rating is also higher compared to those of China and Japan. Explaining the upgrade, the global ratings agency said Korea has exhibited stronger economic growth in recent years than that of most advanced economies. Korea's per capita GDP growth stood at 2.6% in 2015, higher than the 0.3 to 1.5% range seen in most high-income nations. This year, there are concerns the growth rate could slow due to the fallout from the government's ongoing corporate restructuring drive and faltering exports, which have fallen every month for over a year and a half now. But the agency brushed off such concerns, saying Korea's export performance has not been out of line with other nations, and that a recovery in the U.S. should be able to help. On top of that, S&P said Korea's monetary policy has provided strong support for sustainable economic growth. The Bank of Korea slashed its key rate in June to a record low of 1.25% as part of efforts to prop up the economy. In addition, the agency cited Korea's healthy fiscal position, saying that the country's government debt level remains modest at around 20% of the GDP last year.
If a country's credit rating goes up, it means state-run companies, financial institutions and private corporations can borrow at cheaper rates when drawing up capital overseas.
While the credit appraiser expects Korea's new rating to remain unchanged over the next 2 years, it says geopolitical risk stemming from inter-Korean conflicts is one of the main factors that could hurt Korea's credit fundamentals down the line. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
A suicide bomber has killed at least 70 people and wounded more than 100 in Pakistan. The bomber struck as a crowd of lawyers and journalists crammed into a hospital in the southwestern city of Quetta. The group had gathered outside the emergency room to mourn the death of a prominent figure who was shot earlier in the day. The Pakistani Taliban has claimed responsibility for the attack. The motive is unclear, but watchers say lawyers have been targeted during a recent spate of terror-related killings in the area. Well, that's all we have for now. I'm Mark Broom. Thank you as always for tuning in. We'll be back throughout the day with more newscasts. So until then, goodbye.